Hello, this is the Team 1 project proposal for CIT360. Our idea is Flash Mobile. Our team with the team names are presented here in this slide.
All right, for our presentation, we've identified some needs and problems that we feel that our application could definitely help anyone to overcome. We all know that studying can be very tedious and time extensive, and a lot of things related to studying are memorization, trying to learn information and such, which takes a lot of study time. People need a simple way to be able to access their information and kind of focus their studies so they can easily and quickly learn what they need to rather than thumbing through all their books and all their chapters and etc. However, a popular way to do this is making flashcards, but they're a pain. You have to have paper, cut them out, fill them all out, and organize them, and it takes time.
So we talked about coming up with an idea for way of digitalizing this, and that's what our solution is. And so we decided that users will be able to select a deck of cards to study. They'll be able to make their own decks or get rid of old ones, and um, users will make up the questions and the answers, and then the deck will allow them to flip through the cards while letting them know if they're right or wrong. Now we have some like stretch goals or some goals for down the line, I guess you could say, where maybe in the future users could trade their cards or decks with other users, or possibly even have it so that you have a rating system where um, you can download the top rated deck for a specific subject so that you don't necessarily have to create your own deck. And so our target audience is going to be people that are most likely in high school or college, um, and lower to middle class people, people who can't afford like a college professor to tutor them, kind of thing. And we're thinking that it'll appeal to both male and female, and it should be anybody who 15 and up probably. They should have a reasonable knowledge of technology, but then again, I mean, nowadays a 4-year-old can access an app, so that's not asking much. And anyone who needs a memorization tool is really who we're intended the audience for.
All right, and these are some of the ways that our project will be fulfilling the class requirements. We will be using Java collections in the form that decks will basically just be a list collection of flashcard objects, and then we'll be saving all of those decks using Hibernate into a database, and we'll be using the process of JSON serialization, so just serializing the deck into a string and then saving that into a database. And we'll also be using HTTP URL connections and just making calls to our site, calls to methods in order to save it to the site and do things from there. And all the other basic stuff, JUnit testing and making exception handlers. We'll be going through all that stuff as well. And for our project, we'll be using the project methodology of Scrum, and we're going to have our project backlog, and that will determine each week we'll determine our sprint backlog, what the things we're going to be working on each week, and then We'll have a sprint review each week as well, just, talking about how well the sprint went. And we'll have a scrum master each week, and this role will be rotated among each member so that everybody will have an opportunity to be the scrum master. And for the daily scrum, basically we'll just have a Google document, and we'll be logging, our task progress from yesterday and putting in what we're going to be doing that day and any problems that we might be having with our task. So that way we can, have a lot of communication amongst team members.
So we were able to divide our project basically into 5 different steps of being able to set it up to be able to run. These are to allow the user to create, save, edit, and delete decks for the first week. The second, allow user to create, save, edit, and delete the flashcards. An easy-to-use user interface, a user score generator, and a timer and timer setter. And so we were able to divide this into 5 different weeks that we could be able to work on these. So during week 1, we'll be able to create the deck class and also create the methods for creating, saving, editing, and deleting for that class. Week 2 is for the flashcards, the exact same thing. Week 3 is being able to work on the user interface, making sure it looks fine, making sure it looks great to our user, and being able to make it simple for the user to use. Week 4 is being able to create the scoreboard and being able to show the correctly answered cards to the user and so forth. And week 5 we'll be able to create the timer class and being able to time how long it takes to answer the flashcard and things like that.
I have a mock-up graphical user interface for Flash Mobile. In the top left picture, you can see that this would be like the home screen, what the user first sees. And I'm just going to reiterate that this is just a mock-up of some of the things that our application can do. When greeted, the user will be able to select a deck, create a deck, or delete a deck. And so assuming they click create a deck, let's go down to the bottom row. The first screen on the bottom row, you can see that they are able to type in their own deck name and then click create a card, and then from create a card they can input their own question and input their own answer, and then either create another card or click finished to be finished creating that deck. And then assuming they have already created a deck, you can back to the very first screen at the top left, they can click select a deck, and moving right one screen, I just have some examples here. Maybe there's like a history exam, a math exam, and a driver's ed test. They could select math exam, and moving over, and that would take them to the screen that's moving over right one, and it would show the question. What is the area of a circle? They could click flip, and then it would show the question with the answer. A equals pi r squared, and then they or a tutor could select right or wrong, depending on if they are studying with a friend or alone, and that would take them to this next screen, which would either be another flashcard, or if they have gone through all the cards in the deck, it would say how they scored. They could try again, or go back to the home screen, or close out of the application at any time. And there is a use case diagram for this application. It shows pretty much just what I explained, but how it could work with a student and a tutor. The student has the opportunity to create a deck and delete a deck. The tutor does also, and in order to select a deck, it is required that you have created a deck and have flashcards. This is our presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know in the Google community, and we will do our best to answer. Thank you for your time.